I almost accepted a job I didn't even want. That was only a few days ago. Somehow I had convinced myself it was the responsible thing to do. That's the scary part, because this doesn't happen only with jobs. A lot of us tell ourselves just for a little while, and we postpone what we really want. But just for a little while can easily turn into years. And that's exactly what almost happened to me. After spending most of my life chasing freedom, at almost 59, I nearly gave it away. The strange thing is, I wasn't even looking for a job. I had a completely different plan for this stage of my life. I have been an employee before, but it's been more than 30 years since my life revolved around somebody else's schedule. It just never really suited me. That's because freedom has always mattered to me. The freedom to build something of my own and to have some control over my time. Then, almost on impulse, I saw a job posting from one of the biggest companies in my industry. The post had already been online for almost 3 weeks, and I thought, they're probably looking for someone younger. I'll send it anyway. Worst case, they ignore me. So I sent my CV almost as an experiment. I nearly didn't apply. On paper, the job looked incredible. Great salary, company car, a major international company, and 9 months of guaranteed income after months of financial uncertainty. It looked like security, and for a while I believed it was. 3 days later, they called me. That call turned into more than a month of interviews, conversations, assignments, and tests. At that point, I was so invested that I thought, well, now I kind of want them to pick me. For the final stage, I had to prepare 2 presentations, create a training strategy, and film a short video. I worked extremely hard on those. And yes, part of me started imagining what it would feel like to get the job, the recognition, the financial relief. And I'll be honest, part of me liked the idea of being able to tell people I'd got the job. I wanted them to choose me. But then I realized that wanting to be chosen is not the same as wanting the job. Then came the final meeting, and something became very clear. The official working hours and the real working hours were not necessarily the same thing. There were urgent last minute assignments, deadlines that had to be met no matter what, late nights, constant pressure, and an exclusivity clause saying that any work outside the company would need their approval. Technically, I could ask for permission to work on my own projects outside office hours. But realistically, what outside hours? When a job follows you home every evening, your time may be your own on paper, but your energy still belongs to the company. And then I noticed something else. The women I met were intelligent, professional, and completely committed. Nobody complained. That's what struck me. They spoke about working until midnight like it was completely normal, just part of the job. And I remember thinking, this might look like a dream job to a lot of people, but to me, it would feel like a prison. During the interview process, I had been asking myself, am I good enough for this company? But by the end, I was asking a different question. Is this company good enough for the life I want? Now, I had just completed the final stage for a job with a great salary, a company car, and 9 months of guaranteed income. I should have felt excited. Instead, I left that meeting completely depleted, not proud, not relieved, just drained. And I couldn't ignore that feeling. So I asked myself what I actually want for the next part of my life. The answer came very quickly. I want to build something that is mine. I want financial freedom and the freedom to decide where I live. And I want enough control over my time to enjoy my life instead of spending it recovering from work. Then I asked myself, would taking this job bring me closer to that life, or would it delay it? The honest answer was that it would probably delay it. Yes, it would give me 9 months of financial security. But at the end of those 9 months, I might have more money in the bank and no business of my own. And I might be so exhausted that I would need months just to recover before starting again. Time hits differently when you're almost 59. And I'm no longer willing to casually give away another year. Look, I'm not rejecting employment. I am rejecting a structure that would leave no space for the life I actually want to build. I have bet on myself many times before. Sometimes it worked out beautifully. Sometimes it ended very badly. So I'm not going to pretend that betting on yourself always has a happy ending. It doesn't. Giving one company control over your entire income may feel safe, but it is still dependence. It just comes with a monthly salary. There is no option without risk. For me, accepting that job would mean risking my long term freedom for short term certainty. Building my own business means risking short term comfort for the chance of long term freedom. Maybe this will be the biggest mistake of my life. I honestly don't know. I'll let you know in 6 months whether I was brave or completely stupid. I'm Tal, and this is the Badass Shift. We talk about beauty, aging, energy, identity, money, freedom, and what it really takes to rebuild your life. So tell me in the comments, have you ever walked away from an opportunity that looked impressive on paper because it didn't fit the life you wanted? And if you had to choose between immediate security and the chance to build something of your own, which risk would you take? I've made my choice. Let's see if I was right.